Check, check. Let's hope this audio is going to work. Right, let's do this. Let's see if I can remember how these buttons work. G'day, Stu from UAVFutures. Welcome to Happy Flying. This is stream number 8, and I'm going to do a couple of audio checks and those sorts of things before we kick it off because, man, we had the most stressful morning in terms of trying to get this ready for the stream. Bit of advice, always try to get here early for me and get things set up, and it was literally like to the minute going as fast as I could to get things working. I'm going to check this audio, check. Hopefully you guys can hear me because that'd be like just the icing on the cake. I'm worried about touching that camera if anything's going to go wrong. We've been looking at a whole bunch of things. If we're just tuning in, this is Happy Flying number 8. We got a bunch of stuff to go through on today's stream. I am so grateful for you to be able to tune in. Let's see. Give it a couple of minutes. We'll see who is in the chat. We got Great Scott. He's in here as well. Let me know if you want help making your custom emojis at UAVFutures. Yeah, that might be pretty cool. Aaron's in here as well. He's giving me some thumbs up saying it sounds good. And we've got a few, I would say, of the basically like UAVFutures family, the people who tune in every week. So big shout out to Johnny DRC. I know he's been a long-term viewer. And yeah, it's just great to have everybody involved. See you here. And like I mentioned, this is the best part of my working week. Like we get together, we talk about drones, and it is all about that community feel, the community vibe, and it's called Happy Flying. So that's what it is all about. Now today, we're going to talk about some exciting things that I can't wait to talk about. One of them is a possible new player when it comes to like digital. So we're going to be looking at DJI, we're going to be looking at CADX. I know we have HD0 as well, which I do want to investigate a little bit more. And a big shout out to one of my patrons. We're hopefully going to film a video or use someone else's goggles to do that. But also we're going to be having a look at the OpenIPC stuff. So we're going to be checking that out as well a little bit. I need to find out how to stop that popping up on the camera there. Actually, so that is like an open source digital player that's going to be coming in, and maybe in the future, depending on how it goes, we're going to have access to some new things that people don't have to lock into one ecosystem. It doesn't have to be HD0, it doesn't have to be DJI, it doesn't have to be WalkSnail, but now with this system, it's giving people a way to do that themselves. So pretty excited about that. We've got Super Deluxe in here as well. I think he's going to be doing a face reveal. I wish I could be announcing that on my stream. It's fantastic to see him in here. We got Ram Dono, so he's from the UK, saying it's a little bit cloudy over there today. In Oz, it is absolutely melting right now. So first day of spring, and Mother Nature definitely turned it on because I am melting. Got to think about maybe putting the aircon on soon, but I feel like it's a little bit too early. Like winter was just yesterday, so I don't know. Good things for flying though, good times to get out and get flying. We are going to be talking a little bit about sims as well, because I feel like that's a really important part of the hobby. It gets people flying, and there's a couple of new sims that have released, or some new DLCs, I would say, that are coming out that I think look really cool. We're going to be talking about them, but we're also going to be going through the pros and cons of a whole bunch of them. So whether you're Liftoff, Velocidrone, DRL, Uncrashed, like there's a bunch of sims out there and they do a lot of things well. We'll talk about the pros and cons and find out which one is right for you. We've got Free Range Chicken in here. He's saying g'day. So good morning straight back to you. Good sir. We are going to talk about a whole bunch of different crafts in today's stream. So we're going to be talking about and this one might be more suited for new pilots, whether that be if you're a Whoop pilot, if you want to get a whoop craft, a freestyle craft, a racing craft, a mini craft, we've got long range, we've got cine whoops. There's a whole bunch here, and I realize, and this is something you will hear me say a lot in my reviews, there is no one drone to rule them all. It doesn't work like that, and you need to really pick what does this drone do well, and this is the type of flying that it's suited for. So a lot of newcomers, they might just see a Mr. Steel rig and think, you know what, I can fly that around everywhere, but that is definitely not the case. So we aim to inform some of the viewers here on the stream to let them know which one is right for you, because I know for me, a big mistake, when I first got my old school 5-inch, wherever that is, I think I've taken it back down to the studio, but I was like, man, I'll be able to fly this through the house, and it was a nightmare. So definitely drones can't do everything, and we need to sort of find out what they are suited for so you can get the right one where you can get the most fun out of the sky. We got Kiz Bartlett tuning in, so he's saying hey, so fantastic to have Kiz here. It's probably like 2 a.m. maybe in the UK, so sorry to the UK viewers. Let me know where you are, what the time is. And Super Deluxe is got a question right here. He's saying, what's your headphone setup, a 6S? Look, this is something, and a bit of a shout out to Drunken because I've been talking to him about it as well. We are working on fixing the audio. This is like a bit of a professional setup. So I don't want to mess with it too much because it will stop working. You'll see my audio cut out here all the time in these streams, but I don't know, it's on this side actually, so I forget the camera's doing a bit of reverse. So this, believe it or not, is, I took these headphones apart. You can see they are held together by some bits of hot glue to hold these on because the ear cups, this one's completely loose. This one just falls off all the time if I take it off my head. And this one, yeah, right here, this is an old Fat Shark battery that I decased and took out and soldered it together, put a different adapter into my headphones. And like, that's one of the things of this hobby. It really teaches you some cool skills. So I don't know, that's what I don't know, that's one of the skills I feel like I've learned from FPV, and also a skill like that maybe not everybody gets. When you grow up poor, you learn how to fix things. When you don't have money to like go out and buy something new, you're like, well, you know what? I can fix this. And I'm really grateful for learning that skill and having something in my life when I can decide I can repair this if I want to, rather than just have to go out and buy a new one. Same thing, like, and I attribute drones a lot to that as well. So, you know, not having much money growing up, it was always good to be able to fix your stuff. And now, because of drones, I've really learned a lot of skills that don't just relate to beta flight, don't just relate to soldering up a flight controller. I feel like I have a lot of skills, and critical thinking is probably a big one that comes into it as well, that I think, you know what, I can fix that. Like, you don't call them a whipper snipper in the US, you call them a weed whacker, but that was broken the other day, and I thought, you know what, I don't know too much about engines, but I'm sure I can pull this thing apart and I can find the problem and the solution. And there we go. I saved myself a couple of $100. It was like just this small little problem. I was like, all right, I can fix that. Bob's your uncle. I can go back and cut the lawn. So there we go. That's one pretty cool skill that I like. All thanks to FPV, basically. We've got Sean. He's coming in from NZ as well. He's saying, my G930's mic used to stop at the most important times while gaming. Yeah, that's what this does when I'm trying to record a video with it or something. It is very annoying when it drops out. And Great Scott saying, as long as it works. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. And thanks so much for your email as well, Great Scott. Do appreciate that. But yes, it's as long as it works, that's when it's good. It's when it drops out and it doesn't work that it can be a bit of a pain. But we're going to kick it off now. We're going to jump into some FPV stuff. We're going to be talking about some really cool things. But I did just want to say this part first. Thanks for being here. Thanks for enjoying the stream, tuning in, seeing what we're up to. You know, like I mentioned, best part of my working week, a great way to kick off Mondays. And this is a pretty big week for me. So Stickman Steve, he's back, and we have so much cool stuff to film, so many projects to get through that are not only reviews, like I've got some cool reviews to come up as well, but some really fun, exciting things, and just a lot of passion in FPV, a lot of adventure, and I can't wait to bring you along as well, because that's what I feel like UAV Futures is all about. Yes, I want to give you the best information to get you flying, but also I'm just a dude who likes flying around, and I want to bring you along, bring you to the field, and take you on that adventure. So that's what we're up to. All right. Great Scott is saying, glad to help in any way I can. I just realized I don't have membership turned on yet. No custom emojis until you do. I don't have membership turned on yet. Yeah, I don't know if that's is that something people I probably really need to, and this is an honest thing, I really need to look into, like someone said, Stu, I've been trying to do like a super comment or a super chat on your YouTube channel, or you don't have memberships turned on and those things, and it's like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should go in and, like, it really definitely would help. Like, I need that Patreon support. It is getting harder than ever to do that, so to make a living and work making on YouTube full time. So I probably need to sit down and go through things and find some ways that I'm just can offer that service to people if they would like to join. Of course, UAVFutures, like, it's all just about getting people flying, and if you're here, I'm just grateful to have your company. So thanks very much. Let's kick it off. We're going to talk about, like, basically the first part. I want to talk about, like, happy flying, mental health. It's something that's really important. I know Super Deluxe is talking about a koala. I will answer that in just a little bit. But this one, I like to start the show, happy flying. It's for anybody. FPV is for anybody and everybody. And if you've ever struggled with mental health, I know it was something that I struggled with a lot in the past. And I'm so grateful to be able to share this message and get through that process and talk to people about it. And I would like to take a moment to talk about how awesome our FPV community is. Like, we've done some other parts. If you go back and watch the stream, we talk about getting help and the people you surround yourself with and a lot of positive things. But I just want to mention how awesome the FPV community stream is. Like, it is, community is, I should say, not just you guys in the stream are awesome, but if you look at what our hobby is and what we do and the people we have online, there is so much positivity, and it's crazy in 2024. If you went somewhere and said, hey, you want to find a really positive online place, like, that seems almost like, I think the term is like an oxymoron or something. The juxtaposition between online and negativity is, they usually go hand in hand, but we have like such an amazing online community that is really, really positive. It's really, really close knit. I know I've met all my friends come from FPV. Like, it's just such a welcoming, positive place, and it is fantastic to see, especially for blokes who I feel like struggle connecting with other people, to have an outlet like FPV where not only can they do really cool things and meet each other online and go through some, playing sims and being part of this community that you're in right now, but then also transition that to the outside world where you can go and meet people and meet friends in real life and meet up and go to races and go to cool flying spots and go on cool adventures. So I'm just so grateful for everything that this community does. Like, yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. We'll talk about this at the end. Like, I had a chat. I rang up and actually gave me a buzz. Like, we had a bit of a meeting. I spoke to Jesse Perkins at Tiny Whoop, like having a chat with him, like on the phone basically. And it was just, I don't know, just to be part of a community where we can just ring people up and have a chat and bond over FPV is something really special. So if you're here, that means you're part of that community and you're engaging, you're talking with the chat, you enjoy flying, and I think it's just a really special thing that sometimes maybe we do take for granted of how awesome it is. And yeah, I definitely feel like we need to keep championing that message of all just positivity and love in FPV. It's really important, and I'm very, very grateful for it. All right. We got someone else saying Jesse rocks. Yes, he absolutely does. And I feel like a lot of his values align. So Jesse is the guy, the tiny whoop man, the king. And a lot of his values align with what I believe in as well. So we had a chat about a whole bunch of things. We spoke a lot about DIY FPV. I can fill you in a little bit on that a little bit later towards the end of the stream. But he believes in getting people flying, making events, getting people together, being part of a community, like a lot of positive things. So a huge shout out to him for everything he's done. And if you've been around long enough to know when Tiny Whoop started, it's a bit of an OG, so an original right there, which is pretty cool. Alrighty. I know Super Deluxe says, if you've got any questions too, throw them in the chat. They could be, stream related, they could be FPV related. But he's asking, have I ever hugged a koala? I heard they're pretty cool as long as they get their eucalyptus. I feel like a koala is, I mean, these things, they can run up a gum tree, right? They've got really big claws and they do have pretty sharp teeth. I have patted a koala. It's not really something that I'm interested in though, like, I know a lot of tourists, they get the really sleepy ones and they like take some photos with them and those things. I don't know. It's still a wild animal that if I was a koala and some people just kept patting me all the time, I don't think I'd be down for it too much. I mean, maybe if there's a lot of pizza and they're like, here you go, I'd settle, but just not my jam. No, I haven't patted one. But it also doesn't look like they're in too much distress. They do look pretty chilled, but then at the end of the day, it's a wild animal, big claws and big teeth, and you learn pretty quick that anything in Australia that you just don't really want to mess with the wildlife. So here's a little, like, I mowed the lawn yesterday, and I didn't tell my kids this, but I told my wife this, 2 snakes when I was mowing the lawn. I was like, oh, fantastic. Spring's actually 2 days ago. So spring's here, and yep, there's a snake down the front and a snake out the back near the veggie patch as well. I was like, oh, fantastic. That's just what what we want that got the heart racing. At least it wasn't near the house like we've had. And these didn't look like nice snakes either. These look like ones that I would be definitely a little bit wary of. You don't know how good you've got it in the US or maybe in New Zealand or some other places where you go flying. And you get to cruise around. You don't have to worry about snakes or crocodiles or goannas or bugs and spiders and a whole bunch of other things, drop bears, things that just want to kill you. You just get to go out and fly around. And that part, I am a little bit jealous. I love all the locations we can fly in Australia. But please, like, honestly, respect the wildlife. At least wear shoes and don't just go walking through grass and those things, because it's just it's second nature to me to always be mindful of those things. But if you're ever visiting Oz, just you know that maybe some things can kill you. I don't know. There's a lot of dangerous things here. All right. Um, we're going to move on. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the best sims in the biz. And I saw this post the other day. I'm going to put this on the screen. And Rain is asking how is the web page project coming? Yes, we're going to be talking about DIY FPV a little bit because that's a big part of I don't know, the community that I can't wait to show you. We've done so much progress and it's getting pretty awesome. Great Scott's also saying kangaroos are no joke. That's all right. And Maleo FPV is asking about a 20-kilometer upgrade for Walk Snail. Should have come last month. Do I know anything about that? So we're talking about that a little bit as well. And Free Range Chicken is sending some love. Thank you very much. He's saying appreciate you, Stu. Thanks for the stream. Absolutely my pleasure, brother. Thank you for that super chat. It really does make a difference. And it's great to have you here. So cheers. Thank you very much. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Okay, let's talk about this right here. We have some of the best sims. And this is sort of what kicked me off thinking about this because this sim has come out. I didn't know about this at the time because I thought this was like a bonus or a free level. So there's different sims. We're going to go through the pros and the cons. But this, I thought, actually was a DLC. And I have to say, I'm a little bit upset that it's a brand new game, because you would have heard of Liftoff in the past, and we're going to jump over here. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of each one of these we're talking about. So I'm hoping my camera doesn't break, fingers crossed. Okie dokie. So you can see here, so this is Liftoff micro drones, and they just released, I'm going to turn the sound off here so I don't get a copyright. Is this going to play? They did just release like this really cool new looking level that looks like you're flying like in a playground, and there's like a bunch of blossom trees and some really interesting parts right there. I'm sure there's going to be some more info about it. Now, Liftoff micro drones. Liftoff is a pretty great sim in general. And if we scroll down here, so we've got the ultimate. And remember, this is in Australian dollars, so that's 60 bucks. But here, this is what I wanted to talk about. This looks like a really fun level. So this little micro one, cruising around. I saw some stuff on Reddit about it as well. I would love to try this, and I actually thought that this might be a DLC. Now, unfortunately, when I went and checked this out, and I don't know, look, and this isn't me ragging on Liftoff, let me know what you guys think. Liftoff already has a base game. They already have, if I can open this up in a new tab, how does this work? I don't want to add this to cart. Anyway, Liftoff already has its base game. It's already got a whole bunch of people flying around. It's already got a community. And I was like, oh, this would be sweet if I could just add this in, because I don't think that the entire, well, I don't know anything about game development, but I felt then asking users to pay another $23 on top of this just to get access to some micro drones just sort of put a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Like, I believe all about getting people flying. They don't have to spend as much money as possible. I want them to actually spend the least amount of money as possible to get out and enjoy the skies. And yeah, this does look really cool. It looks really fun. You can see a bunch of like little gimmicks and flying through some interesting little places. For me, I would have really liked to see this as part of a DLC. Like, okay, it doesn't have to be entirely free forever, and you're always adding value to the original Liftoff game, but let me know what you think. Wouldn't you like to see this as just maybe a level you could download? Or I don't know how I feel about putting that as just a standalone thing when they've already got the engine and the physics and everything made for their original Liftoff game. And especially when this is early access as well. I don't know, it just it is a good sim, and Johnny DRC is saying right there that it's a good starter sim. I just wish, yeah, I don't know how much more I can say. I wish it just was part of a little DLC or just a couple of extra dollars you had to pay, rather than buying a brand new game, which I felt was like a little bit cheeky or a bit more of a money grab. Now we're going to move over, and another sim that I want to talk about, and this is the complete opposite, and I do have a bit of a video coming up about this one as well. So this is called Real Drone Simulator, and Kiz is agreeing. He's saying it's a shame they split it. Now we have to put enough support behind Ash to get a new whoop like drone. Current whoops in Velocidrone fly like a brush whoop. Yeah, there's another thing too. Like, if you have a Liftoff community and you have races and events and those things, you've now just split your player base into into half. So you've sort of got twice the, or half the competition, or half the members, I should say, if they split evenly down the middle. So I don't know what that decision. You know what, the decision was basically money, and I'm sort of not into that one. Now this sim, this is called Real Drone Simulator. You may not have heard of this. I'm going to have a video coming out in a little bit. Stickman Steve spoke to me about this. One really cool thing is this, you can also connect up to your Android. So if you've got an Android phone, you can simply click it on there, and you know, you can get up and get flying. I bound my radio straight up to my Android tablet, and I was able to just, like, it's a really easy way to get on the sim. And the best part, it's free. So you've got some companies out there, and yes, they're making really good products where, you know, they're making like a game and then splitting it and making another game and selling it for 20 bucks, and then maybe selling an extra level, which is some sort of DLC, blah, blah, blah. Like you saw that Liftoff Ultimate Pack was 60 Australian dollars. This, it's free. So I wonder if there's any videos of this thing actually cruising around, because that's what this website needs. It looks really cool. I mean, it wasn't, I think the physics weren't as good, but that is something people get really hung up on in sims. Like, let me know what your favorite sim is and why. And a lot of people are going to talk about, like, I like the physics in this one, or this one doesn't feel like that. And I feel like the part of a sim, you don't need all these different ones. You have a sim for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is to practice. Like, that is the main thing. Whether the physics are a little bit off, it's about getting that stick time, getting that, just the feel of how things work, and cruising around and learning what to do with your fingers when you're flying, and how you can transition that over to real life. And then number two, if you are into online races, I feel like that is something you can do as well to connect with other people. I think they're both very, very valid things. For me, the intricacies of, like, how does this this website's pretty, I would say I don't really appreciate this website, but it's a free product. Like, I'm not going to complain. If you're not going to, I think the saying's, look a gift horse in the mouth. If someone gave you a free sim, are you really going to complain about what their website looks like? But yeah, it's oh, we've even got some little maps right here. I wonder what's going to happen. Please no music if I click this. All right, here we go. So this is sort of what the sim, here we go, Real Drone Simulator. This is what you can expect cruising this one around. You can use, like, on your touchscreen controls, even if you don't have a simulator, if you don't have a radio even, you can fly around using just a tablet or your phone. But remember, this thing's free. And then I don't understand why other ones cost like $20 or $60 or whatever it's going to be. So let me know what you think about this. We got Kevin jumping in the chat as well. Good morning, Kev. All right, I'm going to push pause on this one. So we're going to have a video coming about Real Drone Simulator. If you don't have it, go check it out. Like, you've got absolutely nothing to lose. The next one, which I think is also pretty cool, is Velocidrone. So I know a lot of people, let me see if I can get a picture of Velocidrone up here. Where is my Steam library? If I could spell properly. Do I not own, is Velocidrone not on Steam? Oh my gosh, where have I been playing Velocidrone then? Maybe somebody can let me know that in the chat. Like, if you play Velocidrone, is that a standalone install? Omega 9 is staying, I still use Liftoff. Okay, this maybe it's my internet that's pretty slow here. That's why things are loading pretty. So this is Velocidrone. This one is a very popular sim. A lot of people enjoy this one. I think a lot of people enjoy the physics of Velocidrone. And it's not on Steam. Okay, so this one you can only get through their site. So we're going to Velocidrone. It's a really good sim. It's got a lot of options. I've flown a lot of hours on this one. I quite liked it, but it doesn't really necessarily, for me, it isn't the one that I choose all the time, because a lot of sims, I just want to practice something. So it's basically whatever is installed. Here's the deal breaker, or the thing that's going to make me choose a sim. How quickly can I get up and get flying? Like, if I have to re-download it and I've got another one, that's how little I care about what actual sim it is and the physics, because I'm not using a sim to join up with part of a community. If that is you, by all means, you know, that's worth it. But if you're just jumping on to get that stick time, use whatever you've got available. I really like Velocidrone. It's doing some really cool stuff. I don't know how much more I can say. It's been around for a little while. It's a bit of an oldie, but a goodie. The same thing with Uncrashed FPV. I did a little video, and when we watch this back, I'll be able to link that one in just a little bit. Uncrashed was really cool. It had some interesting features like chasing cars, and it looked really good. And it also, that one was only about 20 bucks. I think Velocidrone might be $23, $24 or something. And then the last sim I want to talk about is we've got also DRL. So DRL, like there are so many drone sims out there. Don't get too hung up on which one works the best and everything like that for you. Just get one that works in terms of what's easiest to access, and that's really where I like Real Drone Simulator. A free product, what's not to like when something is free? I feel like everybody can get behind that. UAVFutures definitely, and what I believe in is getting you guys flying without having to break the bank. And if I'm going to be charging you 60 bucks for the Liftoff Ultimate Pack, then and making you install two totally different games, it doesn't really pass the vibe check with me. But look, maybe it's different. Amiga9 saying it's like 20 plus 10 plus 12 plus 7. And Chris Croft has a really good point here as well regarding sims. I have found a sim that flies the same. I have found a sim that flies the same as my real quads. I saw that on Reddit the other day. I've never found a sim that flies the same. And I know people can talk about like adjusting the physics and adjusting the gravity and the drag and the objects and scaling the different sizes. But for me, it's never going to be like real life. And one of the analogies I tried to think about to explain that to people, because people get so hung up on it and they're like, I want a sim that feels exactly like this. Well, it's never going to feel like that no matter what you do. And look, I'm sure that I'll get a bit of hate for that, because you can take the most high-res, amazing video footage of walking through a forest or going on a nature walk or a hike or something. It's no matter how good that footage is, and you can watch it in VR. And that's like real life recording of exactly what it's like. No matter how good that is, it's never going to be the same as if you were just walking there yourself. And the same thing applies to what I believe applies to drones. Flying around with the real goggles and just everything that what the FPV experience is truly like when you're out there cruising around with mates, you cannot replicate that one-to-one. Sorry, it just doesn't work. Otherwise, why would we even bother going out flying? Why would, if everything felt exactly the same on our sim, why would we even bother to go out and fly? It's not there. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Yeah, so, and Chris is saying that was meant to be never found a sim that flies like real life. Yeah, see, that's what we're talking about. It's not going to happen. Stop searching for it. Stop nitpicking. And I see a lot of arguments over which sim is best. Just get the one that's easiest. And if it's just for going out and learning to fly, that's sort of what you should stick with. All right, moving on. I'm just going to catch up a little bit right here. And Chris is saying it's not one. It is not one stream. Standalone installer needed. Oh, that's okay. And we've also got installing Velocidrone. And Johnny DRC is saying wings is fun, and I definitely do need a sim to learn wings, because I know there's some out there. I'm going to be practicing that. We've got some wing videos coming up as well. Great time for Anthony to drop in and saying good morning, Stu. So that must be another fellow Aussie in the chat. If you just tuned in, this is actually stream number 8. And I want to say thanks for being here, because we've done 8 streams in a row right now. It's the best part of my working week, and it's cool just to see all these people enjoying FPV. No matter what you're doing, you could be kicking back, eating pizza, about to crash for the night, or waking up, or maybe you're on the job site just trying to catch a bit of a break, having a bit of we call it smoko here in Australia. I don't know if other people have that term. It's basically like you would have a 10-minute break just to go have a cigarette, basically, but no one does that. They're usually eating like a chocolate or a bag of chips or something. Oh, also free range chicken is saying I like free rider. Check. That's what we're talking about. Keeping it professional with my microphone. I know I say I'm going to get that fixed every single week, and I do mean to. It's just been pretty busy and hectic here lately. Plus, we had Father's Day in Australia, so I sort of took the weekend off and and hung out with the family there. And Johnny is saying, I'm charging lipos, about to go fly. Well, fantastic. I wish I could come along, actually. That would be awesome. Be really cool if I could just teleport and see some great places. I would love to do like a international flying trip where we just went to some of the coolest places around the world, met up with you guys. That'd be like a bit of a dream. However, I don't think that's in the budget at the moment. I'm pretty sure my accountant would tell me absolutely no way. All right, let's move on. This, I want to talk about what each craft does, what it's good for, and some of the beginner pitfalls they might get in. So whether you want to be a whoop pilot, a freestyle pilot, a racing pilot, like there's a whole bunch of craft out there, and there is no single best drone, and people really need to get their mind about each craft is capable of different things, and each one has their pros and cons. Now, the first one I want to talk about is some little whoops. So let me jump over, find a whoop. I might as well just go to tinywhoop.com, actually. Really cool place. And that is some of these. So a tiny whoop, it is a really small little craft. And these, I would say, if I did a little poll online recently, they're some of the, I would say, second most popular style of drones. So number one is the 5-inch drone. So whether that be, that's sort of a combination of freestyle and also racing. But a tiny whoop craft, I absolutely love them, and because of their size, don't let that fool you. The FPV experience you can get here is second to none. They have an amazing community. They are safe. You can fly them basically any time, where a lot of the other drones, like if I look outside right now, even though it's very sunny and warm, it is ridiculously windy. So we're getting some really, really crazy winds here in Australia. But these you can fly them anywhere. You can set up a really fun little racetrack in your house, in your apartment. They're easy to set up. They are relatively cheap versus the other ones. They don't break as much, I believe, when you crash them. Just an awesome little thing. And they have some of the best races in the world, like official competitions. I know kids can talk about it as well. Johnny D says he's got one. He's got a Beta 65S. So yeah, a tiny whoop, it's a great starting craft that is going to last you. Like that style of craft, you're still going to be able to go back and have fun. You're going to be able to fly it all the time, no matter what. It is really easy too. I would say it has an easier learning curve than some of the others, and it's a great place. If you're a beginner pilot and you're thinking about getting a tiny whoop, I would say that is probably the first craft you need to get. Once you get off the sims, thinking about getting a tiny whoop. Now, of course, they're terrible at filming. They're terrible at long range versus some of the others. They're not very good at big freestyle. You still can do freestyle with them, but it is on a much, much smaller scale. But if you like racing as well, there is still some amazing whoop races. So a big shout out to Neon FPV. I'll be able to put a little video in post-production maybe on this, but Neon FPV has some of the fastest racing from a whoop I've ever seen. So don't let the small size fool you. It's a top-notch craft that a lot of people can enjoy. So for me, they're one of the best style of crafts we have in the FPV hobby. Now, the next one I want to talk about is something like this. So this, let me jump over, where is... The next one I would say is a freestyle drone. So this we've moved right up. We've gone to, this is sort of on the opposite end. So a 5-inch freestyle drone. These drones are probably my number one flying style at the moment of choice. I like what they can do. They're very versatile. They often are a little bit more dangerous. You need to really take precautions with them. You don't fly near people. This is like a flying blender. They can go very, very fast. Not as fast as racing drones, but what I love about these drones is you can just get together. You can go out. You don't need to set up gates. You don't need to set up tracks. You can just do some really fun, flowy flying practice. That's a mouthful. Some really fun, flowy flying, and it's fun. Like, it's a great craft to cruise around. It can be more beginner friendly than racing. Just pick your environments. Don't fly over concrete. I know a lot of people then move on to like doing bando bashing, some more technical and dangerous places to crash. But yeah, a freestyle craft, it is sort of like the jack of all trades. You can fly it fast. You can do freestyle. You can do long range. The only thing this can't really do is indoors, and you do need to treat it with respect. So I would say, if you want to move on, you enjoy FPV and you've had your little tiny whoop, this would be my next recommendation of choice. A freestyle drone, it's like the jack of all trades that excels at doing, believe it or not, freestyle. It's just, there's some other drones that do things like racing or long range a little bit better. Now I want to read out Omega 9. He is saying, have you ever found a 1S tiny whoop that runs walk snail and doesn't overheat and gets more than 1 to 2 minutes of battery life? I have not. So that is one thing about the tiny whoops though. They're not great at digital. I know some people run HD0 on them. For me, the smallest that I put a Cadex or a walk snail system in is probably something like the little mini mic, the mini Lightning, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well. I feel like whoops is really for that analog side of things. Maybe some other people who go to races, actual whoop races, or kids can chime in and let me know. But yeah, check that out for me. I think they are still just too small to put digital in. And oh yeah, this is something to mention, of course, the weight limits. So whoops definitely under 250 grams. These definitely over 250 grams. If you find these things around and you have weight regulations or weight limits, that's basically every single craft out there except for maybe some micro drones, which we'll talk about, or mini drones. Now the next one I want to talk about is racing drones. And this is probably a pretty specific market. They were my favorite for a little while. I love doing track flying and setting up, and I would say like lap flying or doing time trials. And where is like one of my all-time favorites? Let's have a look here. I'm trying to find. So I'm actually looking at. Where's a picture of your drone? Products, frames. Here we go. So this bad boy, I'm going to give a shout out to BMS Web here. And I put this over here. Moving on, so this is BMS Thomas, one of the fastest racers in the world. So he is right up there, I would say, in the handful of elite pilots that have the skills to, on any given day, win a competitive race, like of the best in the world. Jumping over here, we've got, so this is, we're looking at some racing frames right here. Don't get these thinking, like this is a very specific type of drone and it can be a bit of a trap. I know everybody wants to have the fastest drone in the world, but for a beginner pilot or somebody who just enjoys FPV, even for me, I'm much better suited, I think, to a freestyle drone. Yes, these go very fast. Yes, they handle very well, but they're also generally a little bit more fragile. They focus on speed almost above everything else. For a big freestyle drone, it's going to focus a little bit more on durability, so you can handle a crash or two. This is not always the case with this. So BMS Thomas, this is one of his frames, and you can see they're just a very minimalistic frame. They're keeping things as light as possible. They are great though if you go to races. If all you're flying around is flags and gates, you're probably not going to break as much as if you crash full speed into one of them versus into a tree. Yes, you're still going to smash stuff, that's part of FPV, but if you're going with this into a tree, it's probably going to explode and destroy all your components. Now, really interesting as well, you will notice if I jump back here and I have a look at the products and the frames, generally racing as well, if you want to get a racing drone, you will see this is a generalization. We have one that is an analog option and also one that is a HD0 option. So they're sort of the two protocols that people use when they go to races. DJI, I don't know of any worldwide races that use DJI. Cadex can try to do some things to fit in, but it's not nearly as nice as using HD0. So if you're into racing, you're into meeting up and going to local events and cruising around, and you know a place you want to get involved in and you want to be doing time trials and those things, a racing craft is right up your alley. However, for most pilots, I would say, and I'm sure the chat can let me know too, how often do you actually go to these? So this is a very specific and often hyper-focused part of the hobby that is not for everybody. Even though it gets a lot of exposure, we call them racing drones. It's more, I would say, 9 times out of 10 people flying around freestyle drones or whoops. Okay, the next part I want to talk about, Johnny D is saying he hasn't flown his 5-inch QAV in about 6 months, and Kiz is saying Neon, the person I spoke about before, has been right up there with the 5-inch racing as well. And these often, sometimes you can build these under 250 grams, but it's usually not the case. The next part I want to mention, I would have seen there's a couple of videos as well, like we have some little micro drones, or I would call them mini drones. So things like the Lightning, they're generally like smaller craft, like 2 to 3 to even 4 inches. They're just a fun craft. That's why I would get after my freestyle one. They can be really fun. I love flying the Lightning round. It's my favorite drone of last year, and you're going to be seeing the full review with Stickman Steve on the Lightning 2. They can take digital options as well, which is something the little, like a micro whoop can't do, or a tiny whoop can't do. So yeah, I think minis are right up there. And then the last two, you have your cine whoops. If you want to get a cine whoop, they, for me, are the least exciting type of flying. They are cool if you're going to be filming something for cinematography, but that's it. Yes, you can do some freestyle with them. Yes, you still can fly them through some cool little gaps and maybe do some time trials. But if you're flying around a cine whoop and that is your first drone, make sure you're picking it because you want to film things, not for all the other reasons. And also, you've got to remember, a cine whoop's flight times aren't anywhere near as good as maybe like a DJI proper filming drone, and that's where it's going to struggle. You need the skills to pay the bills, is one of the sayings I say a lot of time. You can get some of the shots you can't get with other craft, but a cine whoop is even more specific than above all the rest. It would be my last recommendation of choice for if you've got all the other drones, you want to try something new, that's what you could get. There are so many more fun things you can get before that. I'm sure other people can agree or disagree in the chat as well. And the last one we have, and this is one I want to do more in, this is your long range craft. So we have a video coming up a little bit about long range, and that's more for like your mountain surfing or cruising out over the ocean and just having an awesome time. That's more of like a big cruise, so they get better flight times. They are not really made for doing freestyle. It's just like the joy of FPV, and it is almost a little bit like flying a wing around as well, where that's maybe your next step up from that. So I do like long range, and maybe it's a bit of a thrill to getting your craft back or not. One of my all-time favorite memories is flying a long-range craft with Trappy at TBS when we were in Hong Kong and going for like a 10-kilometer or a 20-kilometer flight or something like that over there. That was really fun. But you also have to set up a little bit more, know your gear a little bit more. I think it is not beginner friendly. So there's your 5 or 6 drone categories. Start with a whoop. Then it's a great time to get like a 5-inch freestyle drone, or maybe you would like to also have a look at the mini drones. So like something like the Lightning V2. If you're also into digital, they can handle those options. If you're into specifics of racing, check those out. If you are only, I would say cinematography or cine whoops are my least favorite style of drone. I find them the least interesting. That is very specific. If you like filming and maybe you need that craft to do something, sure, get one. Still fun, but you know, a lot of the other craft do things a lot better, and than a cine whoop will do it. And then if you're into long range, you know a little bit more, you know how to get the most out of, like, not, you know, maybe you've got return to home. It just takes a little bit more setup to make sure that you get your gear back, because the last thing you want to do is go for a flight as a beginner and not realize some of the pitfalls and mistakes you're making, and it's really hard to get your drone back when it's a couple of kilometers away. It's easy to have a failsafe, you know, just on the other side of a dirt mound. You can walk and pick it up. If it's a long way away, well, you might not ever get it back. So, all right, Johnny D is saying, I just built my 7-inch on 6S, my second 7-inch. Yes, that should be pretty cool. I think I've got a 10-inch one coming up. And Chris Croft is saying, I hardly fly the 5-inch anymore. I'm building a HD0 YM FPV Lightning 2. Fantastic choice. Please link me when that is done, because the Lightning V1 with digital was one of my all-time favorite drones. And I believe, like, I don't want to spoil too much in the review, but the Lightning V2, just like perfection. You know, when people say this is all you can ever fly, I still want to do a little bit more testing on it, but I'll be like, yeah, this is enough. Like, this is it. I'm having so much fun with that. And you're going to see me and Steve racing some of those, having an awesome time. And then you guys can make your mind up. I want you to see the fun that we have with that. I think you're going to have an amazing time with your Lightning V2. All right. This part is pretty exciting. So you might have heard, is there a new digital player in digital FPV? So we've got DJI, we have Walksnail, we have HD0. Have you heard about OpenIPC? So recently, it's been around for a little while, but things look like they are heating up just a little bit. I'm going to put this on the screen. And we go a bit of a screen share. So OpenIPC, basically think of like an open source way that we as a community, or the people working on this, can build their own receiver and transmitter that can capture digital image transmission. So it's like it's trying to do digital FPV. I think I don't think I can summarize that any clearer than that. I don't know how well it is doing, but things are definitely heating up. Like, I have not flown this. I want to make this very clear. I do think it's exciting. I think open source is great. A lot of people can get involved and they have ideas and those things. It doesn't mean that it's going to be better than DJI. It doesn't mean that it's going to be better than walk snail. It's just, but it's fantastic at the end of the day to have a lot of those options. Now I have a little video here prepared where I think, let me jump over, is it this one? No, that's Real Drone Simulator. Okay, now I've got the music turned off. So this is from Mario FPV. He's been doing so much stuff when it comes to, and this was only done 6 days ago. So this is when it comes to OpenIPC. We're putting a whole bunch of videos and those sorts of things out anyway. Here he's talking about like the OSD integration and those sorts of things. And this is on iNav, but you can, you know, make it for other drones and Betaflight. We could eventually possibly see these on our racing drones, which is really exciting, or at least on our freestyle drones. But here we go. And I have to say, it looks pretty cool. Now look, I'm not too sure what the real life applications are in terms of latency, in terms of recording. Remember, you are watching me stream this from Australia, watching a video that's been encoded by Mario, which has been uploaded. So this is like 3 degrees, or looking at this through 3 different lenses. So we can't judge the quality too much, but it's still, it looks pretty cool. And I think the more players we have in the hobby, the more people that are opening things up for us to fly and other people to get involved in is fantastic. Not every open source project is a success, but there are some really good successes, like the firmware we use all the time. Betaflight, fantastic. It's open source, it took some great things, and I have a whole video on like the history of Betaflight and how we started with multi-Wii and smashing apart Nintendo controllers to get to where we are today. My audio not working? Oh, the video's got audio? Wait, what's happening here? Check, 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 check. Because Nuke FPV is saying audio stew. I just want to double check that. I'm going to wait for the chat and see what happens. Can you guys hear me? Check, check, check. Wait, it was all good or it wasn't good at all? Or like, did I cut out or what happened there? If you're watching this, please let me know. We're dealing with some technical issues today. All right, so maybe it didn't cut out. Okay, yeah, anyway, but yeah, the more options we have for digital FPV is really exciting. I want to get everybody involved. And if we have enough people behind this, maybe it could develop into something. So I don't know what the future holds for this. I do plan to do some testing and some things with it. I'm not going to say I'm the know-it-all. I think Ian is probably one of the best people to check this out, maybe, or is other people with some like technical skills, and they can find some latencies, and you know, we need a lot of different questions answered. As far as a user base of how does this go, what's it like, some things we can offer, I'm pretty excited, I must say. And to kick it off, look at this. We have here, now this came out, you might have seen this, you might not have seen it because only 2,000 people have seen this video. I got an email from EMAX and I'm excited to be doing some stuff, but look at this here. It looks like we have a solution which is relatively lightweight. So this could be an open source digital option, maybe to compete with CADX, maybe to compete like with Walk Snail, maybe to compete with HD0 and DJI. So that looks like it's the receiver right there. Remember, this is all very, very early days. Like you can see here, it's an alpha unit that they've got running. And plugging this in. Right there, I should freeze frame on that. You can see this right here is sort of what we're working with. We've got a old EMAX frame in the background, and this is when it starts to get really exciting. So if a manufacturer as large as EMAX is getting on board with something, maybe they can be offering their own alternatives here where, hey, you can get digital. They're going to do well, here we go. I don't know what happened in California there. It's a pretty short video, but they're going to be doing their own stuff. So he's moving his hand in front of the camera. You can see it. It's still very, very early days. Let me make that clear, but it is exciting. And I, for one, look, I love CADX. They're probably my system I fly more than any others. HD0, double thumbs up for what they're doing for the racing community. DJI, they offer, you know, really good stuff for pilots who want the best picture. To have an open project like this, which is going to be supported possibly in the future by some larger manufacturers. Like, we want options as a community, as FPV pilots. This is where it's at. I don't want one really strong person or company dominating the market. it is not good for us. So I am more than happy to see projects like this take off some really good success. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of something. I can do this now because can you break NDA after a company's gone bankrupt or disappeared? I would say a lot of people have never seen this. Let me know. I have a product here, which when DJI was releasing, DJI didn't go bankrupt, but a lot of people may never have seen this product right here. Even when I bring it up to people, this is like a relic. I don't even know how many of these units exist in the world, but what I have right here, and I should really find more about this. So it's a bit of a history lesson. Let me jump over to my face. Man, the suspense. Did you know that as well as having all those other ones, Omway actually had a digital solution? So that's it right here. So this is the Omway is now disappeared. They don't exist anymore, which is a shame because they saw the writing on the wall. They made some amazing commander goggles, but when things started to move to digital, I feel like Omway couldn't keep up, so they decided to move to digital as well. And what I've got right here, so this is the Omway Nexus V2 system, and yeah, this was their full, like it's 1080p digital system. I did fly this around. I was able to do a few tests on it and, you know, report back to them and offer them some advice. However, I was never able to, I don't think I released the video, so I definitely wasn't allowed to release the video at the time anyway. So I might have shown some snippets here or there of it, but at the time I had to keep this under wraps for quite some time and reporting back. And unfortunately, this was a project that didn't make it. It didn't see it through, and I hope that doesn't happen to IPC, or I hope an open source project like this, maybe if some other people like EMAX or people are making something on it, can get off the ground enough and get enough user base and enough support where it's still financially viable. Because no one's going to make this at a loss, right? No one's going to, a company needs to see some profits in this, and I hope that we do get enough of a good product that people jump on board and they enjoy that. So yeah, that's a little bit of secret nostalgia history right here with the Omway Nexus V2. That was like a digital solution. This is like before Cadex existed, before Walksnail system existed. So this is right after DJI came out. There was also that option. And the latency wasn't terrible. It wasn't a terrible product. The one bad part for me is that actually, if it lost a frame or if it lost something, it would like completely freeze. So it'd be fine, and then completely disappear. So that was always a problem. And I think then it caught fire one time when I crashed. Not the unit itself, but the drone caught fire, which is, you know, not a plus. Okie dokie, moving on. I do want to show you, we're going to talk about, this is very briefly because I know I'm looking at the time here, I can't believe I've been rambling for like an hour. I want to show you some of the funniest videos in RC this week, and these are sent in by Stickman Steve. It's going to be some pretty quick ones actually, and because then I want to talk about DIY FPV, some pretty exciting things that I want to talk about. But let me jump over here, and I am going to give a little bit of a language warning here. So there is one swear word in here. I don't usually like to swear. There's only been one video where I've really let loose, which was on the weaponization of FPV. But I'm giving you a warning now. If you've got kids in the background, you may wish to maybe mute this part, but you'll be able to see what's happening. So of course we've got someone flying around. We've got one of these, like, I don't know, helicopters. I don't know what the actual technical name for this style is and this RC stuff, but yeah, flying this around. These things always look like magic to me. Where's my phone going off? I'll deal with that later. And then I'll just try and maybe mute it there at the end. So yeah, cruising around. Always pay attention to when you're flying with others. This thing looks like it exploded, and that's just a bit of a problem right there. They're not made for crashing into each other. So definitely, and they're also not expensive. And one thing I've heard about these type of craft is once you break them once and they're a little bit bent, or there's something is like a little bit out of sync, they are really hard to get back to like their original pristine stock condition to make them fly correctly again. That's what I've heard about RC helicopters. I don't know how well that is. Johnny DRC is saying that's a $900 T-Rex. FPV copter, yeah. I'd be too scared to fly one of these of not only like just losing that much money and how breakable and fragile they seem to be, but also like cutting my own head off. I'm not a fan of decapitation. This one, however, is pretty cool. So this was sent to me by Stickman Steve as well. How do I do? Let me refresh this so you guys can have the full experience. Check out this for some awesome flying. And okie dokie. I want to do this. So I think I can put the sound on. I think it's just, I don't think there's any music here. How can I turn it down just a little bit though? Please give me those options for the sound. What is going on? What you would think, right? Anyway, let me turn this down. Is that really loud for anyone else? Alright, I'm just going to mute this so I can keep chatting. But look at these two pilots. What you might not have realized when you're watching this is two people on the sticks. This is two people at the same time. One person is doing throttle and yaw. One person is doing pitch and roll. So very, very impressive skills right here. I want to try this. I think Stickman Steve will be the perfect person to try to fly this around with. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near as successful. Definitely going to be using like a freestyle drone like this. But these guys absolutely crushed it. And this was on the Radio Master Facebook group. Just very, very impressive. And then even a nice, well, I was going to say a nice little landing, but really, really cool stuff. I don't think we can appreciate just how difficult that is. And then when they hit this gap, which is coming up between the trees, like that would be hard enough for a normal pilot with just one brain. Trying to split that and the controls into two pilots is next level. So cruising around through here. I think it's coming up just after they get out of this car park. I don't even know how they saw that, like to be able to do that. That looks tricky enough as a single pilot, and then a nice little knife edge through the gap. Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. I need this like the Paralympic runners. That's, oh, okay, so we've got, yeah, maybe if you only had one hand, and that could be like some FPV, imagine that, races where you've got to team up with somebody. That could be a little bit fun as well. All right, now the next thing I want to talk about is over at DIY FPV, because I've got a couple of minutes left of the stream. I can see nice FPV. He's saying, mad, just in time for the Reddit goofs and gaffs. Hooray. Actually, yeah, they're just two short little videos today. I'm looking at the stream time. We're going to move on with this part, which is, got to make sure I don't show my password off to everybody again, like we've done in the past. And the annoying part is now there's two passwords that I have to enter, and I always enter the original one first. Let's see. Okay. Actually, I've got another website I can show you. This is what I'm going to show you today. So recently, let me jump this across right here. So if you want to know what DIY FPV is, it is basically the one-stop shop for everything about FPV. It is going to be, I believe, the largest online community for everybody. So whether you're into like finding the best parts, choosing the stores nearest to you, meeting up with other pilots, finding on what events are around on the world, building your own craft, doing like a solder studio. DIY FPV has so much stuff just that we've been working on for a long time that it is going to change the face of FPV in such a positive and impactful way on the hobby, and I'm so glad to be right there at the forefront and to be able to channel that positivity in the direction that I believe is best for FPV. I believe in getting people flying, connecting people, just getting them up, enjoying the skies, and sharing this love of FPV, and it is so great to see so many other people involved and believing in that as well. One part I want to mention, so next week, I'm hoping to show you off some features, but I can talk about it this week, where there's been a lot of work going on in the background, and one of the things that is kind of special with DIY FPV is we get like some API keys and some integrations with like our partner stores, and we have had so many stores Like that's why I was on the phone to, you know, like ringing up like Tiny Whoop and chatting to those guys. Like so many of your favorite stores are on board, and instead of just scraping websites and just collating that data, which can always break and be unreliable, to get proper access to that information to say, hey, here's exactly what something is, here's where you can find it, and to have a whole bunch of real, genuine, first-hand information to be able to share with you guys, the users, to help you find exactly what you want. And the exciting part, like I have written so many emails and had so many meetings and so many calls behind the scenes in this last 10 days, and it is really exciting for that to be able to pay off. And I'm hoping next week we're able to show some things and show you just how many integrations we have. Like this is just a couple we've put up here at the moment that we've got, but we've had so many integrations recently that it's like at that critical mass point when this is where it becomes useful. It's not just one or two stores. There is so much stuff that's going to be involved, and I know that this feature here, like looking at the catalog, is going to be so beneficial because it's already beneficial for me. When I'm trying to find something and I'm reviewing and I'm like, man, where can people get this from? I've had this for a little while. I need to get a link. Oh, look at that. I can find that exact product. I can list it, and it says, oh, here it is. Bang, 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 bang. That so you can. I know the product is useful because it's already there. I'm already using this website, so I'm very, very excited for that. So stay tuned for next week because I hope I can show you a little bit more with some actual hands-on how things are working. But I just want to give you a bit of an update because somebody asked how is DIY FPV going. Behind the scenes, like this web page, it doesn't look like it's too different right now, but behind the scenes, the amount of integrations and syncs that we have had is next level, and that's what's going to really push this, I think, to the stratosphere and make such a difference for you pilots out there. So if you ever want to find something and you're like, hey, where can I get that from? You click, you can type it in, it's going to come up, you're going to be able to see exactly what that is, the closest places you can get it from, and get those products into your hands so you can have a great time flying. All right, let's have a look here. Simon is saying, hi Stu, I just meant I needed it because I'm a pilot. I'm not too sure what I've got to catch up here on the chat. And we've got some other people right here still talking about some of those fails or cruising around with that. So what I'm going to do, I am going to actually, looking at the time, call it there, my friends. I want to say thanks so much for tuning in. I have a heap of stuff. Straight after this, I'm going to go back to the studio and I've got to bind up a bunch of drones. I've got to get a whole bunch of things ready for Stickman Steve when he turns up later in the week in a couple of days, because we have many, many flying sessions planned. Some really fun things that I can't wait to share with you. If you've tuned in, I want to say thanks so much. Thanks for being here. If you left a chat or if you left a super chat, I want to say thanks so much for supporting the channel. It's great to have you here. We're here every single week. Let me know what you're doing right now. Like when you are watching this, what are you going to be doing? Like when you guys are watching this, are you sitting in front of the computer just watching this? Are you like doing the dishes? Are you cooking dinner? Are you fixing some drones in the background? I'm always interested and I always sort of wonder what people are doing, because I know when I'm watching streams, I'm actually like involved a little bit. I'll be chatting, and then if I'm just, you know, typing something off, I might be like building a drone on the side. So it's just a little bit of interesting information to go there. So Johnny D is saying, have a great week, everybody. You too, brother. Thanks for always being here. Same with X86. He's saying, have a great day. And Johnny DRC is building a drone. Yeah, I think that's one of the best ways to do streams as well. I'm going to say, if you enjoy it, if you enjoy my content, the Patreon link is down below. That is greatly appreciated. It is harder than ever to make a living and do this full time. It's getting a little bit, you know, dicey, or just harder than ever is probably a way to do that. So if you'd like to do that, even for $1 or $2 a month, you don't know how much that really does make a difference. So thank you so much. If you are one of the people who think, you know what, Stu, I like what you're doing. I like your message of FPV. You've been in this for 10 years, and I believe in getting people flying as well. That link is going to be down there as well if you would like to support. All right. Steve is saying the boss caught. Oh, we've got Stickman Steve. The boss caught me watching, so I'm hiding in the workshop. See you soon. There we go. We've got Stickman Steve in the chat as well. Get back to work, brother. Don't get in trouble. You got to get home and get flying. Can't wait. Other than that, subscribe for more FPV related content. And as always, happy flying. Big shout out to you. Thanks very much, Drunken, for all your Hey, look at this, my face is back. I did want to say, I know the music was playing, but thanks so much, Drunken. I'm not going to go into specifics on the stream, but I really do appreciate it, brother. You're an absolute champion, so thank you from the channel and from me. Thanks, it really does make a difference. Cheers, brother. Get that countertop finished.